Hello everyone and welcome to the Ring Zero aka Purgatorio review. I'm gonna do these every time I fully complete an area, or if I do most towers and all jump towers are too hard. I finished Purgatorio a while back during my return to ETHO, but recently I tried the tower rush, and having revisited all the towers, it was just so much fun, and I just want to talk about them. But before we go to the towers, I want to talk about the area itself. The area itself feels super magical. The building here looks impeccable and it looks very welcoming. I like how the area is more on the simple side layout-wise. There's not too much to explore, which enhances this area being beginner-friendly. I know a lot of areas have secrets to discover that are locked behind certain obbies or insane scavenging, but this one doesn't. Having 3 tutorial towers planted right in the middle is perfect design. It makes it basically impossible to skip for new players, and yes, I know people are required to do these before moving on, but it is heavily advised in general to do these before anything else. Everything is explained well, there is a lot of information that needs to be understood in ETHO, and I had a hard time understanding everything when I first started playing. Let's talk about something important. Cat therapy. In these videos, I am going to rank every cat therapy on a scale of 1 to 10. Cat therapy is meant to be calming, and this cat therapy doesn't do anything less than that. There are so many cats here, and the fountain in the middle enhances the chill vibes here. It is also very easy to access, so it gets bonus point for that as well. I'm going to rate this a solid 9 out of 10. It's perfect. Then another thing I will rate every single area video, the practice hobby. This practice hobby doesn't do anything crazy. It is a tutorial ring after all. It is practically unfailable. I'm gonna rate this a 6 out of 10. It's very mid, but it serves as a small tutorial and it does that perfectly as well. Let's take the elevator up, shall we? The area up here is a lot more expanded than the first floor. This is the section that introduces tower sections. The general design here is a lot less interesting in the first floor, in my opinion. There's not that many things that distract you. This is not really a good thing in my opinion. Details are certainly needed to make an area feel complete, and it just feels like there's something missing here. I do like the fountain here, and that it contains a button to open up the tower rush. But besides that, there's a bunch of benches, trees, and plants here and there, but it still feels really empty, especially inside the tower sections. But besides all of this, the view is absolutely stunning. You can see the entire ring from the lobby, and it looks impeccable. The terrain isn't that interesting, but since it is mostly background things, it is forgiven. I also really like how you can see rings 1, 2, 3, and 4 in the background. It makes all the areas feel connected to each other. This view is just amazing, man. It basically makes the sky lobby useless. Speaking of which, the sky lobby. I could not find this. I don't even think it exists. While writing the script, I've been running around the lobby for more than 30 minutes, and there ain't anything here, dude. It looks like there is one, as you can see something up there in the distance, but I think that's just a win room. But then again, this ring doesn't need one. The sky lobby rating in this ring is a 0 out of 10 then, because it's just non-existent. In a whole, I would give this lobby a solid 8.5 out of 10. There could definitely be some improvements here and there, but I like it a lot. It feels very calm and welcoming. Now it is time to go to the important section of this video, the towers. I have made a decision to just go in order of difficulty, this way I don't have to crash out about certain towers multiple times in a row. Tower of Genesis, the very first tower in the game that you play. This tower is the perfect introduction for first players. The tower is basically impossible to fail as there are multiple nets around the tower, and it is rated baseline easy of course, but it still gives an introduction that a fall can be costly by making you fall 2 or 3 floors at max. The tower being this easy makes it super short as well. You can speedrun this tower in like 10 minutes, but I feel like it shouldn't be any longer, as easy gameplay like this can become boring if you have to do it for a longer amount of time. Gameplay wise, it isn't that interesting. It's mostly basic jumps with a few pushing platforms here and there. Almost Joe Jump has like a bigger gap than 3 stud, so you really need to try super hard if you want to fail on this tower. Tower of Genesis lies at the very top of the area. It once again gives you an epic view of the entire area. And I like this tower design a lot as well. It is very pleasant to look at, and the frame isn't too crazy for an easy difficulty. All in all, a very cool and perfect introductory tower. Tutorial Tower number 2. This tower is a tutorial for every type of moving platform. Even though Tower of Genesis has a bunch of spinners already, this tower goes a bit more in depth when it comes to spinners. It contains more types like spinning discs, just platforms that spin, but also things like obstacles that move around. It is also a minor introduction to X-pushers and conveyors. These things also move, of course, but they aren't as big in numbers as spinners and moving platforms. This is also the first tower to have an unsafe outside section. The gameplay is still easy as fuck, but for beginners it is a good way to teach them that towers can be very punishing if you don't pay enough attention. This tower starts off pretty slow, with not so interesting gameplay, but it does ramp up in wackiness later on in the tower, with spinners that look really tough for an easy difficulty. I also really love the gradient, it looks so stunning. The gradient combined with the very cool music makes for a magical experience. The finale of the tower is amazing as well. The final floor's frame spins around the tower, which makes the finale of the tower feel very epic. The final introductory tower is Tower of Buttons. This tower introduces every type of button. Who could have guessed that? There are a lot of different types of buttons than I remembered, and this tower shows them all. It starts off slow with just regular buttons that make every, platforms appear or disappear. Floor 2 introduces the good old time buttons. Every timer on this tower is very lenient, of course, as it is supposed to be an easy difficulty. Floor 3 introduces push box buttons. I personally am not the biggest fan of push boxes, but they're all very short and easy in this tower, so it is forgiven. Floor 4 introduces button deactivators. I kinda wish these were used more often, as I really like this mechanic. The second half doesn't introduce anything special, besides buttons that troll you. I like the additions of these, but they are used a bit too much. Having more than 3 trolls per floor feels a bit much. And the final floor serves as a recap of all the mechanics. Normally I'm not the biggest fan of these type of floors, but since it is a tutorial tower, it is forgiven. The tower frame I am not the biggest fan of. The colors are pretty dull, but at least the platforms you jump on look bright. The tower also drags on for a little too long in my opinion. It could have been shorter. Probably still the best of the 3 introductory towers gameplay wise, but it just looks the worst. Tower of Critical Damage is the only easy difficulty that isn't in the introductory tower section. I don't even know what it is doing in Purgatorio, as it doesn't introduce specific mechanics to the player. It is the most forgettable tower in this area in my opinion, but of all the easy difficulties, the design is the best for sure. You start in a dungeon you need to escape out of, and after you escape floor 1, you can scale the tower a bit until you get cut again, and you need to escape a second dungeon. The only interesting mechanic in this entire tower are the drawbridges. Maybe this is the reason it is in Purgatorio, but it is the only tower to have this mechanic. I really like the tower design, but the gameplay is just kinda mid. It is better than all the other easy difficulties in this area, but it is mostly due to the gameplay being a bit more enhancing than just being regular jumps. I also like the troll at the very end of the tower. Don't know why they put it there, but I like it. Tower of Boost Mayhem is the tower that introduces speed and jump boost mechanics, as well as slowness and no jumping mechanics. I don't really see how you could make an entire tower about these mechanics and expect it to be fun. For starters, the frame looks absolutely dog shit. It's basically brown or grey the entire time. It is like the creator knew the tower was boring as fuck, so he just decided to make the frame boring as fuck as well. The gameplay is decent, I guess. It introduces everything perfectly by adding sections that feel really easy, and it gets better and a little bit harder later on, but since there's basically only 4 main mechanics in this tower, it feels super long. It's like the tower just drags on for too long. The tower is now just really mid. I feel like a different frame and a different soundtrack would have made this tower a whole lot better and more fun to do and replay. This tower is based around X-Pusher type gameplay, but not only those. Basically anything that the player can move is featured in this tower. The tower starts off really boring with another grey frame, but it gets more colorful later on. They slowly start to introduce all the different mechanics at the start of the tower: X-Pushers, X-Launchers, falling platforms, push blocks, and even rolling platforms. These mechanics get cooler and more interesting as the tower goes on, but it still feels like unoriginal gameplay, especially on the later floors. For some reason, the creator wanted to use every square centimeter in this tower. This means most floors are like 1.5 minutes long. This tower really drags on, especially at the end when it doesn't do anything cool anymore. It is also really easy to fall in this tower. There are sections with difficulty spikes, and with the floors being super long, it takes a while to get back. There's also this rolling platform on floor 9, which is basically a troll and a high difficulty jump. This is so hard to sight read, and it shouldn't be in a low medium difficulty tower. I'm not the biggest fan of this tower, and that is mostly because of the loop failing you do. The gameplay can get pretty good at certain points, but it gets overshadowed by the back sections. This tower is easily the best medium of Purgatorio. The gameplay is super enhancing and fast-paced. This is basically the pushbox tutorial tower, but it doesn't really feel like it. Pushboxes do get used a lot, but they are integrated in the gameplay very well. It starts with a rocky design with the first 5 floors and ends with 5 floors with a futuristic theme. The tower has a lot of cool sound effects. Every time you spawn a pushbox, a cool sound plays. The gameplay itself is super cool as well. For a medium difficulty, it does feel super intense. The tower is super sight readable, which means you can easily speedrun the tower. And I also really like the minigames on floor 9. Normally I'm not the biggest fan of minigames in towers, but these few minigames here are super short and easy to understand. The tower design and sound effects combined with the fast-paced music makes this a super fun tower. This might be one of my favorite mediums in the game because of that. It is just really well made. The name of this tower basically suggests what this tower is all about. It starts off with an introduction about ziplines. I kinda have a love-hate relationship with those. I find them really fun, but they feel really buggy. After this comes the introduction of balloons. This is the worst ETOH kit mechanic in my opinion. It is so annoying to control them and they randomly pop. At least in this tower they aren't as big of a nuisance. But after this comes the final introduction, the vine mechanic. I really like this mechanic a lot, and I like how they get utilized in most towers. Floor 7 is basically a giant mashup of all the mechanics so you can get used to it, but then comes floor 8, 9 and 10. I really like how you can pick the order here. The final choice you make doesn't have a safety net, so I picked vines obviously, as I was the most comfortable with that one. I really like how this tower looks. It is probably one of the more interesting tower designs in this area. I kinda like this, but I'm just not the biggest fan of some of these mechanics. This tower starts off slow. As it suggests, it has a lot of keys. Keys don't really have any interesting gameplay mechanics. It's basically adds a little bit more scavenging to a tower than usual. A key is basically a worse variant of a button. I don't really like the first 4 floors. The tower kinda drags on for a bit until you reach floor 5, which is a very gloomy floor where you are trapped in a jail cell. But from this point onwards, the routing you do through floors get a lot more interesting. The tower really gets good on floor 8. Floor 8 has more wacky gameplay like a spinning castle, but floor 9 and 10 are both 2 of my favorite floors in this entire area. Floor 9 has 4 mini challenges you need to do. I like when towers do this, especially when all 4 challenges focus on a different mechanic and are safety netted of course. Floor 10 is super peak as well. It is basically one giant key hunt. You need to collect a total of 30 keys, and there are like 40 keys in total. You need to do a bunch of smaller challenges here to get keys, and this might be a top 10 best floors of all time. Floors 8, 9 and 10 really push this tower up the ranking, especially as it was the finale of the tower. It makes you leave with a good feeling. Wait, what is happening? Tower not found? Okay, let's talk about this. This is a really fun mini tower. It fits perfectly in this area. It explains all the glitches that you need to know that might get featured in this game, like wall hops, dance clips, and corner flips. It is a really short mini tower and it shouldn't be hard difficulty in my opinion, but I get why it is hard difficulty, as learning these mechanics might be a bit tricky for newer players. I also really like how this tower is located in a whole small section. You cannot find this from the main area. Pretty cool addition to this area, in my opinion.
Here's another one.
At first, I hated Tower of Dancing All Night. My initial playthrough, I fell 3 times on an outside section due to bad sight reading, and it left a bad impression on me. But having to redo the tower for a monthly challenge made me look at it from a more positive side. Right now, I love this tower. It is, besides Tower of Genesis, the shortest tower in this area. It has really fast-paced gameplay, and it introduces beat blocks. Normally, I despise beat blocks, but when they're used in a lower difficulty tower, they aren't that bad. I also like how, at first, you ascend the tower, but later on you descend. There are a lot of scary outside sections as well, which makes you learn to control your nerves when doing towers. I really like the aesthetics as well. The tower looks cool, and the music used is super nice to listen to. It is quite a popular opinion that this tower is the best tower of the area, but I'm not fully sure if I agree with that. The Citadel of Purgatorio. This tower is a fucking journeyman. It is a hard difficulty with 20 floors and it just doesn't get stale at all. It starts off slow with a few regular floors containing push box puzzles and small scavenger hunts. These are a little bit hard to figure out at certain times, but they're really fun. Whenever you reach the light blue floors, it is the moment the Citadel becomes challenging. The gameplay becomes more difficult and harder to sight read. I really like the push box mechanic here combined with the wind mechanic. On my first playthrough, I struggled a lot on these floors. And after that come the dark blue floors. I like these floors, but also absolutely despise them at the same time. I like the small puzzles that you need to do here to create a path for flying boxes, but this is also the floor that ended my tower rush due to a glitch. Purple floors are castle themed. These incorporate the moving platforms or swinging mechanics. There are a lot of outside sections here, but they're all netted luckily. These floors are also a little bit loop faily if you try to scoot through it. And then comes the pink floors. These are probably my favorite set of floors of this tower. It starts off with a Donkey Kong segment, and the rest of these floors are mostly pushbox related stuff combined with falling platforms and pushable platforms. And after that you get jailed. This is the floor I hated the most, as it is really confusing where to go and you can easily die here. And it also felt a little bit out of place and just added because of the reason to have 20 floors in the end instead of 19. But after this probably comes the 2 best floors purely gameplay wise. You basically fly through space and do 2 floors with speed boosts and player launches everywhere. These floors feel super intense, but they're also very loop faily. The part where you have to color in the stars feel kinda random, but it was an extra nice challenge. The final floor is one big time trial and fix relap where you do every single mechanic one more time. It recaps everything you've learned in this tower and it really feels like one final challenge. And this is probably the hardest floor in this entire area. And I love it because of that. I've never failed this because you can make mistakes as there's a lot of platforms or a lot of checkpoints and clocks for you to collect. Yeah, this Citadel is just absolute cinema, dude. Alright, now that I've talked about every single tower, let's cover the win room real quick. This thing feels magical. As a new player, you might be feeling the adrenaline rush through your veins after reading a tower, and the rising platform that brings you to one of the best views ever enhances this perfectly. This win room is a fucking solid 8.5 out of 10, dude. This is just absolute cinema. Now it's time to rank all the towers from worst to best. I will also include the difficulty that I think the tower is. that was the ranking. Keep in mind, these were all my opinions. We all have different experience with these towers, so there might be disagreements. I'd love to hear your opinions on these as well. I'm gonna do one more thing, and that is ranking the top 5 best floors from any tower in Purgatorio. As sort of a, my favorite moments from this area type of segments. I will not be speaking to you anymore after this segment, so thank you all for watching. I will do these every time I fully complete an area, or if I all jump a tower that I, am unable to do fully legit. But these also include non-canon or events areas as well. But for now, enjoy these 5 best floors.
最良の未来を思い自由に選択していけ。さあ行こう。